Is 6 o'clock. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Louisville City Council meeting on Monday, April 6th, 2026. We are going to start off with the swearing in of Mike Johnston. So, Mike, you and your family want to join me up front here? Sure.
Where do you want to go? Up there?
Yeah, let's go up front.
All right.
Turn this way. All right, put your left hand on the Bible, right hand up in the air, and repeat after me. I, Michael Johnston,
I, Michael Johnston,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and will obey the laws of the United
and
States
will obey the laws of the United States
and the state of Ohio,
and the state of Ohio,
that I will, in all respects,
in all respects,
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and the ordinances of the City of Louisville,
and the ordinances of the City of Louisville,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of council member for the City of Louisville.
of the council member for the City of Louisville.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, that'd be precious. Thanks.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Swear him in, now it's time to go to work.
All right, welcome aboard, Mike. That brings us to the approval of the April 6, 2026 meeting agenda. I'd ask that it be amended to add Kathy Pugh under new business and ordinance 2623 amendment for the electric aggregate agreement.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Let's go ahead and vote.
Godone,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
McAllister Atkins,
Yes.
Street,
Yes.
Aljancik.
Yes.
Please bow your heads for a moment of silent prayer. Amen. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Godone,
Here.
Johnston,
Here.
McAllister Atkins,
Here.
Street,
Here.
Aljancik.
Here.
All right, we have a certificate of an open meeting, and I'd ask for approval of the March 13th, 2026 special council meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Let's go ahead and vote.
Godone,
Yes.
Johnston,
Abstain.
McAllister Atkins,
Yes.
Street,
Yes.
Aljancik.
Here. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I told you, Dave.
And I'd also like to ask for approval of the March 16th, 2026 council meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion also.
Your turn. Second?
I want to abstain.
Okay, second.
Okay, let's vote.
Godone,
Yes.
Johnston,
Abstain.
McAllister Atkins,
Yes.
Street,
Yes.
Aljancik.
Yes.
Okay. That brings us to resolution number 26-17.
Being a resolution adopting the continuation of the community reinvestment area agreements within the City of Louisville.
I'll make the motion, we bring the resolution 2617 to the table for discussion.
I'll second.
All right, Mayor, this resolution, if passed, will authorize the continuation of community reinvestment area agreements for 3 Hops, which is Unhitched Brewery, and Historic Shilling LLC, which is the building that the bakery and Jack and Wiley's occupy that is owned by Steve Kuhn. It'll be continued tax credits for 3 Hops and then potential tax credits for improvements to the historic Schilling building.
Just to clarify on those, that it does not necessarily cost the city anything, it's just based on the value of how they improved the building
Correct.
after a certain number of years, and then they'll be
Correct.
stepped up.
Correct. It would be the increase of the value of the property tax on the increase of the value of the building based on improvements that are made. But there's no loss per se.
Okay. Any questions?
Are there improvements planned?
Well, the improvements with Unhitched, of course, have already been long made, and they're still enjoying that tax benefit. There aren't any immediate improvement plans for the other building.
Mhm.
As you know, they did improve the main floor.
Mhm.
However, that wouldn't necessarily improve the value of the building to the degree that they would take advantage of this.
Yep.
So it would be in the event, or if and when they do work on the second and third floor of that building.
Okay.
Okay. Any other?
And this is CIC money? This has nothing to do with the CIC?
There's no money involved from the CIC. It essentially just absolves them of increased property tax based on increased value of the building, based on money that they've invested in the
I got you.
building.
Okay.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote.
Gadone,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
McAllister Atkins,
Yes.
Street,
Yes.
Aljansic,
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to resolution number 26-18.
being a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a legal services contract on behalf of the city to retain Grossman and Kelly LLP to serve as special legal counsel regarding potential legal action related to the possible presence, use, and remediation of PFAS, including AFFF, or affecting city facilities, equipment, operations, personnel, property, or service areas.
I'll make a motion that we bring Resolution 2618 to the table.
Second?
All right, Mayor, this is actually simply just a second agreement with Grossman and Kelly for PFAS, or forever chemical representation, but it's specific to something called aqueous film forming foam, which is a compound that the fire department uses with fuel fires. And if those particular PFASs are in that material, it can cause damage to their gear and equipment. And if that has happened, this particular representation would allow us compensation for that.
Just another settlement, you get X percentage
Correct.
if
Correct.
something is found. All right, any other questions? Okay, let's go ahead and vote.
Gadone,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
McAllister Atkins,
Yes.
Street,
Yes.
Aljansic.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to ordinance number 26-19.
Being an ordinance amending Chapter 505 of the codified ordinances to add a new section, 505.16, which prohibits the feeding of wildlife.
I make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 2619 for its first reading.
Second?
Okay, Mayor, this is the first reading of the ordinance that will address concerns that have been discussed here in council chambers on multiple occasions regarding the feeding of wildlife in a residential area. What this ordinance prohibits is feeding of that wildlife either on public property within 200 feet of public property or within 150 feet of a property line. It doesn't apply to bird feeders and birds and things like that, songbirds, but it will address some of the concerns that have been brought before you.
I think, Mike, you had a
Yeah,
question on that?
I did. Is there? I understand, right? It's the geese, right? That is the biggest.
Ducks and geese.
Okay, that are the biggest focal point of this, and I know there are some public areas that attract them, right? Water always is going to attract them. Is there it's the feet within public property or within a property line? I mean, 150 feet within a property line is basically saying no city, right? No,
Well,
no
it's
city lots.
In a residential area, correct.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I kind of worry about that being so strict, I guess, maybe, as the 150 feet. I have a feeling, Rachel, you guys would start to get a lot of calls over violation of something like this.
I don't know until it begins to happen, to be honest. Like,
Okay.
I don't know how many people view it as a problem. We haven't really gotten any complaints, except the one that
Mhm.
seems concerning with that area. And we would, like any other, basically warn, but I won't know until it's passed how much we'll actually deal with it, so.
Well, I think also without that verbiage, it kind of takes that concern, it doesn't address her concern.
Mhm.
I guess,
Mhm.
right? I mean, is that fair?
Yeah, I think this would go the furthest to address the concerns that were brought before you. I guess the issue would be, just because you fed wildlife on your property doesn't mean that it's not affecting your neighbor's property.
Mhm.
So if it was if you're prohibited on the property of the person, that's not necessarily going to address, like in this particular case, the neighbor's concern.
Mhm.
They may not be fed on my property, but that doesn't mean that because they're being fed on the neighbor's property, it won't affect mine. So this is kind of designed to give it that distance that it would have an impact.
And what city was it that we looked at? and
There
we
were,
liked theirs?
there were several
Barberton.
cities,
Yeah.
primarily up north, that have issues with deer population. There were some other wildlife mentioned, but I don't remember which ones off the top of my head, but there were a number of communities that have similar ordinances to address this.
We were having Tanya look at the one
Right.
that we thought was the one that we
think it was
liked the best.
Barberton.
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 Could be.
Barberton had like this, it was more detailed.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think without some of these, like, under section B, number 1 and number 2, if we were to not include some private property within other private property lines, we're not going to be able to address anything under A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6.
And
This helps address everything under A, I think. Right? Does that make sense?
Andy, do you mind backing up, just kind of summarizing where, since Mike just came on, where this came from? and-
Sure.
And what we kind of were looking at and presented with some of the challenges?
Sure. So for a number of years now, this most recent time wasn't the only time, but for a number of years, there have been concerns from a resident where they live adjacent to a retention pond,
Mhm.
and they have neighbors who feed the ducks, or in the event that there's geese there, feed the geese. And the problem that that's created for the neighbors, in their estimation, is the amount of duck and goose waste on their private property. I'm sure you've been to maybe Price, or even Constitution Park for the
Yes.
geese.
Yes.
So imagine that on your private property. That was what initially raised the concern, and how it came to the attention of council. And we, as a police department over the years, have tried to mediate it without much success. So the ordinance is a result of council presumably wanting to do something to address the problems that come along with it. And then if you read in the ordinance, there's a whole host of other reasons, primarily related to the health of the wildlife,
yeah.
but a whole host of other reasons why feeding of wildlife shouldn't be permitted.
Is there a concern that we would be doing something for one incident? Or no?
Not in my mind, no. I honestly, I'm looking at this more not just for the residents, but also for the animals themselves.
That's the part that stuck out to me, that I didn't necessarily know at the beginning
One through six.
how,
Mhm.
it causes it throws off their migration, causes issues in the animals themselves. It's not natural, and we're not dealing with like they're just coming and, pecking off of a garden and tossing them an apple or something. I mean,
Mhm.
it's whole-handedly tossing feed out, and then it's bringing in other things, whether it's skunks or groundhogs or things
Sure.
like that are then getting in, neighboring houses. And so we've tried, it's been brought to us for years, and like Andy said, we've tried to work it out and try to have neighbors, but eventually, like, the actions of one is affecting the neighborhood,
Okay.
itself. And so that's how we got to this point.
And this would not be like bird feeders? Like we're not
No,
stopping
it's not
bird feeders? I thought I
feeders.
saw something in there that stopped that.
would, yeah, bird feeders would be exempt.
And if somebody's feeding their
Or
dog
domestic-
outside,
domesticated
a cat
animals are
outside,
exempt,
or
right,
anything
right.
like that.
No.
Yeah, that's all exempt under the.
Can you have a
ordinance.
pet goose in our city? What happens if they consider them pets? I mean, are we? Yeah, I mean, what if we throw chickens, chicken feed on the ground? Or, well, I have a neighbor. I'm just going to tell you this. This just happened, and it was corn fell on the ground, and I don't care, but I saw some wild turkeys running through the yard, and it doesn't bother me by any means, but it was because it fell out of a tree, right? And I just worry that somebody would start to make a call saying, "Hey, they're feeding."
Well, is it fair
Wildlife.
to say that if your neighbors don't care, you feed your squirrels or whatever, and your
Mhm.
neighbors don't care because it's not bringing anything in and nobody calls, it's
The
probably
the
not going to be
police
an issue?
officers aren't
Yeah.
going to be going out and
Yeah.
looking for violations.
Right.
And with respect to other animals,
Mhm.
we do have ordinances that require that you maintain control of those animals.
Mhm.
A dog, for instance, you can't let your dog kind of roam about the neighborhood.
Yeah,
So,
I think I finally read
we
that.
would have other, I guess, tools to address that should it become an issue.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thanks for the explanations.
Well, they're fair questions, Mike. I
Mhm.
think some of those we had asked along the way,
Yeah.
so they're very fair.
Yeah, and I think our police department does a great job just in terms of how we do enforce things. I mean, the serious stuff we jump on right away, but we do a great job of, communicating what's expected with the people, when it's not a big deal, not turning, a small thing into a big thing. And I would assume we would continue with that same approach.
100%. We
here.
can be very realistic and reasonable with this, when it's a major issue to when it's not, so.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and vote.
Godone,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
McAllister Atkins,
Yes.
Street,
Yes.
Aljansic.
Yes.
Okay, let's move to ordinance number 26-20.
Being an ordinance amending Chapter 905 sidewalks of the codified ordinances of the city of Louisville.
I'll make the motion, we bring ordinance number 26-20 to the table for its first reading.
Second?
All right, Mayor, so as you know, we've had a lot of conversation regarding the sidewalk ordinance, which I think most people see as a valuable tool to maintain safe sidewalks. But we've had conversation about making it a little more acceptable in terms of the public and how we go about the program after the years that it's been in place. So what this ordinance does is just that. It makes several changes to the program. First, more so for ease of administration, it does allow, in the event that a property owner is not able to be contacted, it does allow notification that the sidewalk needs to be done via our website and social media, as opposed to the newspaper. As you know, we're moving away from the newspapers for obvious reasons. It extends the time that a resident has to respond to a notice that something needs to be done from 10 days to 30 days, giving obviously them considerably more time. It also increases the time frame that a resident would have to secure a permit if they chose to have the work done themselves or to do it themselves. And it increases that time from 30 days to 60 days. Increases the time that the repair is actually required to be done from 60 days to 90 days. And then there was a requirement in the ordinance that required that an ordinance be passed to assess the cost of the work when a resident chose to pay for it that way. So we eliminate that for ease of process. And then it also waives the fee that somebody would pay for a permit. So we thought it was kind of odd that we're saying, you have to fix this. Oh, but before you do, pay us to be allowed to. So for circumstances where the city's requiring the repairs to be done, this particular ordinance waives the permit fee. And then not contained in the ordinance, but also some areas of concern were only having the 5-year option for the assessment. The resident now has the option of extending it to 10 years. And then something else that has created some issues in the past the timeframe that we did the program, and inevitably, we would have contractors out there in November and December, which caused some problems with the way the concrete cured and things like that. So we're also starting the program much earlier in the year to avoid those issues. But that's what this ordinance does. It accomplishes those things.
Well, I'd like to thank you. I know we've talked about this for a while, but it started kind of with the cost of concrete going through the roof, just asking, like, is there anything we can do to make it more resident friendly? And can we extend that period they have to pay us back? And we had a few times where it popped up, they were assessed late, and then it was like, how can I get a solid contractor to come do my job within 30 days, especially when it's not a big job? And so I think all of these changes that we made are great. I'm glad we have a sidewalk ordinance. I remember not long ago when I was riding a bike, not driving a car, when you had to stop and walk on East Main Street, like when you had those mountains kind of where you had to walk over, or you would just crash, or you saw people earlier in the morning like walking on the road instead of using the sidewalk. And our sidewalks are in a lot better shape than they were several years ago. So I just thank you for taking the time on this, and hopefully residents appreciate these changes. Any other questions on this?
Just
Comments?
a quick note on trees that are planted in the curb strip are a little more regulated now too, which should prevent this a little more in the future, right?
Right. Yeah, so for instance, the Stonebridge allotment, there's only going to be a limited number of different species that will allow to be the resident to choose to have reinstalled, so that we don't run into this issue again.
Right on.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote.
Gadone,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
McAllister Atkins,
Yes.
Street,
Yes.
Aljansen.
Yes.
All right, let's move to ordinance number 26-21.
Being an ordinance amending Chapter 141 of the codified ordinances to add a new section, 141.08, which allows for the police department to lawfully dispose of abandoned property.
I make a motion that we accept our first reading of ordinance number 2621.
I'll second.
So Mayor, what this ordinance does really is simply codifies in ordinance what already exists in large part in the Ohio Revised Code and what we do in practice. And it deals with the disposition of property that the police department either seizes or comes into possession of because it was abandoned or taken as evidence. So this ordinance just spells out requirements to locate the owner, timeframes for when it's considered abandoned, how we can dispose of, or what the requirement is to dispose of different categories of property.
Okay. Any questions?
Just a little full disclosure there. The Chief and I had a little bit of a discussion on the lack of space for a lot of the evidence in the current state of the police station, and this could help in that regard, right, Chief?
Thank you.
Okay, let's vote.
Gadone,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
McAllister Atkins,
Yes.
Street,
Yes.
Aljansen.
Yes.
Okay, next up is ordinance number 26-22.
Being an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into an amended contract with Everlast Landscape Group, change order number 4, for the Metzger Park Baseball and Softball Fields project, original contract authorized by ordinance number 2360.
I'll make a motion that we bring ordinance 2622 to the table for its first reading by emergency? No?
Second.
All right, Mayor, this is what should be the final change order in the contract that we have with Everlast for the baseball fields at Metzger Park. And what it essentially does, there were some back and forth with the best way to do this, but what it essentially does is reduces the cost of the contract by just over $24,000, and then allows our city workers to do some of the remaining work, which primarily is the installation of the dugouts, some repaving of asphalt that wasn't quite done right initially, things like that. But this will put us in a position to have those fields ready as soon as we can.
The only thing I saw, it wasn't necessarily in the ordinance. Do we have an estimated date with our own people doing the work? Like, what's our target date for those fields to be ready?
Well, the hope was to have it ready in the very near future here. It's been the condition of the fields with respect to the water that is.
Sure.
And we should take delivery of the dugouts here very shortly. There was some delay in that, but once we have delivery of those, they can install the supports, pour the concrete, and then finish building the dugouts. So the weather is the biggest holdup at this point, with as wet as it is.
Okay.
Are like the restrooms and the concession stand, is that done now?
I believe those are just about ready to go.
Because like I've walked around it, but
Yeah.
can't see inside, so.
Yeah, those, there was, of course, they had to hook those up to the utilities. Again, weather-related, the company had to come back and seal the two halves of the building together, things like that. But yeah, that I believe may be done at this point.
It looks great.
You'd be surprised at the amount of time we spent picking the colors for those restrooms to make sure that they matched the theme of the park.
Can hardly wait.
What did you go with?
Do we ask these guys?
Is it oatmeal buff? Oatmeal buff.
All right.
Okay.
The problem was
What color is oatmeal buff?
the color that's on the restrooms. It was a matter of kind of trying to make it consistent with the library, and their color schemes and names were essentially foreign to the contractor who provided the restroom. So it was a little bit of a, and actually I think ultimately they used paint that they didn't provide. It was from another company that they used on their restrooms. So we're glad that it looks nice. That was our goal. And then, if you'll remember, actually, the new council members may not, the dugouts will be black, so they'll be consistent with the theme of the fence, and when it's all said and done, it should all tie in very nicely.
Nice.
Great.
Does this finish it then? Does that finish the contract with them?
Well, once
No.
this is done, that'll essentially finish the contract. It's just that our people will finish the work.
Okay.
With the reduction of the cost, that work will be shifted to us.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then, separate from the original contract with Everlast, you'll see a utility building going up on the south side of the fields where a lot of the maintenance equipment and the pitcher's mounds and things like that will be kept for the fields.
Be awesome.
Yeah.
Did I hear right? There was something wrong with the concrete? Or the pavement?
There was, with the asphalt, that
Yeah.
was, yeah, there's something, so it needs to be redone, and we'll take care of that as part of this reduction in the contract cost and then the work that the city works.
Does that cover it?
Yes.
Does the 24,000 cover that? Okay, cool.
Great. Let's go ahead and vote.
Godone,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
McAllister Atkins.
Yes.
Street,
Yes.
Aljansic.
Yes,
Make a motion, we suspend the rules to consider ordinance number 26-22 by emergency.
Second.
Let's go ahead and vote.
Godone,
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
McAllister Atkins.
Yes.
Street,
Yes.
Aljansic.
yes,
Okay. Can you read it again?
Being an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into an amended contract with Everlast Landscape Group, change order number 4 for the Metzger Park Baseball and Softball Fields project, original contract authorized by ordinance number 2360.
I'll make a motion, we bring ordinance number 26-22 to the table for its second reading by emergency.
Second?
Okay. Any further questions? All right. Let's go ahead and vote.
Godone,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
McAllister Atkins.
Yes.
Street,
Yes.
Aljansic.
yes,
Okay, I declare ordinance number 26-22 duly passed and enacted. Let's move on to ordinance number 26-23.
Being an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into an amended service agreement related to the marketing of competitive retail electric supply. Original agreement was authorized by ordinance number 2512.
I'll make a motion that we bring ordinance number 26-23 to the table for its first reading.
second,
All right, Mayor, so as you know, we did not expect to have to bring this back before you. The ordinance 2512, when it was passed, allowed for the execution of amendments or new agreements. However, it did have a cap of 10.1 cents per kilowatt hour. And very unfortunately, the current option that we have exceeds that amount. So the kilowatt per hour price that we got the last time around through the broker was 9.52 cents. When I first sent this to you last week, we were up around 10.61 cents. Today, we got a contract for 10.53 cents, so about about 1% or 1 penny higher per kilowatt hour than what it was under the last agreement. But at any rate, we have to bring it back before you because it exceeded the amount that was authorized in the last ordinance, unfortunately.
Do you know what the current just AEP standard transmission rate is right now?
It was,
If you don't, I can.
it was higher than that. This actually is an 18-month term, which we're selecting for two reasons. One, it's the least expensive, but then two, from a timing standpoint, it puts us at going out to the market in the off-season the next time, rather than just before the summer starts, because these prices are, of course, all speculative. So going into the high-use season, they're likely going to be higher than going into the season when the use isn't as high. Now, just a reminder, this is something that if a resident is able to find a better rate at any time, they can opt out of the program at any time. They're not bound to this. There's no termination fee. If things in 6 months were to change and the rates substantially dropped, they could select a new rate at a better cost. But this is the best that there is at this point.
And when would this actually take effect?
June 1st, I believe. June.
That's being passed by emergency, it's June 1st?
Well, if it passes by emergency tonight, then there's time frames that the broker has to meet. And the current contract ends June. This one would pick up when the current one ends. But they have to meet time frames for what the work that they do with respect to the aggregation program.
Okay.
If something would change and electric rates would go down, is this something we can get out of, or once you enter into it, you're pretty much locked?
Yeah, the individual resident could get out of it.
Sure.
I don't know that we as a city could go back to the,
Well, would it make sense if the rate continues to climb, our aggregate rate, that is? I mean, I guess the most, or the best we could probably do would be to go out on social media and tell people that this might be a good time to opt out. I mean, just so residents know that this
well,
is an
right now,
opt-out
if
opportunity.
you go to the apples-to-apples comparison, this, in terms of contracts with no termination fee, no monthly fees, or no variability, this is about the best you're gonna get. So right now, there isn't an option for them, but to your point, sure, if rates really drop, you could go on a informational campaign that the residents have the option of seeking one of those better rates.
Do we have
Yeah.
do we have a percentage of residents that have to be enrolled in it?
So it's an opt-out program, so all the residents who are not currently under contract
Mhm.
would be opted into it,
Mhm.
without having to do anything. It's just if they chose not to be a part of it, they would have to opt out. I don't know what the numbers are in terms of the number. It's a high percentage because it is an opt-out program versus an opt-in where they would have to take the affirmative step to opt in.
So there's nothing like if that would happen, we have a drastic rate decrease, which I don't see it, but
Yeah.
maybe we do. And 20% of the city decided to opt out, would we get penalized
No,
for
no,
anything
we-
like that, or? Okay.
Yeah, we just can't opt out. Everybody else could. We just
Just the
couldn't opt
city
out of
cannot.
contract.
I gotcha.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, it's a two-way street, remember, prices goes up 25%
Yeah.
too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Sure.
But usually with aggregates like this, they're guaranteed a pretty good chunk of our customer base here in the city. usually you get really good rates with that. I'm just kind of surprised that this aggregate isn't doing better for us than what it
Well,
normally does.
take a look at the apples to apples. There's
Oh, I believe
actually
it.
much
Yeah,
higher.
I'm just a little
Yes.
disappointed that, aggregates aren't doing as well as what I would have anticipated.
It'd be interesting at the end of this contract if we could go in with other municipalities and leverage, other municipalities that have a similar setup, if we could just leverage the number of residents to get a better price. I don't know if that's an option or not.
No bet. There is an organization that does that. We looked at them one time, and there were reasons why we shied away from it, but we can certainly
Okay.
explore that.
But they
Okay.
would have had to have gone to ballot and vote on this like we did, right? Whatever.
It'd have to be a similar setup.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Cool. Let's go ahead and vote.
Gadone,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
McAllister Atkins.
Yes.
Street,
Yes.
Aljansic.
Yes.
All right, I'll make a motion, we suspend the rules to consider ordinance number 26-23 by emergency.
Second?
Let's go ahead and vote.
Gadone,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
McAllister Atkins.
Yes.
Street,
Yes.
Aljansic.
Yes.
Please read it again.
Being an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into an amended service agreement related to the marketing of competitive retail electric supply. Original agreement was authorized by ordinance number 2512.
I'll make a motion, we bring ordinance number 26-23 to the table for its second reading.
Second.
Any further questions? Okay, let's go ahead and vote.
Gadone,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
McAllister Atkins.
Yes.
Street,
Yes.
Aljansic.
Yes.
Declare ordinance number 26-23 duly passed and enacted. That brings us to persons appearing before council. The first is Stark County Health Department, Kirk Norris. Yep, you can come on up. I believe there's a microphone set up right there for you.
All right, would you like to pick that up? Okay, perfect. Good evening, and thank you for the time in front of council tonight. My name's Kirk Norris. I'm the Health Commissioner with the Stark County Combined General Health District, and this is Paul DePasquale. He's our Director of Environmental Health Services. So his group is the group that your residents deal with probably mostly on a day-to-day basis. But why we're here tonight is part of our strategic plan. One of our priorities is to strengthen our public image as well as strengthen our community partnerships. So what we've chose to do, and we've done it for quite some years now, is we as a county agency feel the partnership's very important. So we visit our political subdivisions at least one time annually, so you guys can put a name or a face to a name or a face, whichever way you want to say that. It's very important. We have a great working relationship with your police department, with your fire department, with your city directors, the administrator. Great relationship. It's always been that way. Paul's going to go over some services that we provide as well. You can get Paul and I on the phone technically 24/7. We're your health department. We're here for you. Oh, the phone rings 24/7, as I'm sure your phones do as well. So Paul will go over some of the resources and programs that we do have at the health department. Some you may know of, some you might have no idea. And then if you guys have any questions, you can ask us tonight, or you can give us a call. We pick up our phones. We actually pick up our phones, not like other county departments. All right, so I'll let Paul come.
Good evening. Again, I'm Paul DePasquale, Director of Environmental Health with the County Health Department. I've been with the County Health Department for 33 years, 14 as the Director, lifelong Stark County resident. Some of the programs that we deal with are what you would think: food inspection, mosquito control and surveillance, general nuisance, rabies and animal bites. A lot of people might not think about that, but the health department does a complete program in there. The program is centered around the victim that gets bitten. Also, there are wells and septics in the city, so we will complete those, even though you have a lot of city water and a lot of sewer. We are one service area. The other two is nursing. our nursing service area, and administration and support services. So I have a packet. I guess I'll give it to Andy. It has all the general information in here about each service area, and I'll give you this now. And then, I didn't do that, did I? Sorry about that. I did want to say this. We do a lot of stats and what I do, a lot of statistics and what have you. We did figure out last year we do 33 inspections per workday. It's a lot of inspections. I would assume I'm not gonna. I would say we are probably in Louisville City every day, if not every other day. Somebody's from my staff is in the city, so doing something. So I just wanted to drop that tidbit off onto you, and I will be open to any questions you guys may have. Oh, right. Mercy told me to give that to you. So I'm open to any questions you may have, or
I just have two. Do you have mosquito spraying scheduled out yet for this year?
I know that Louisville City does get a supplemental contract with us. I'm sure, yeah, we'll be working with your city manager on that, working those details out with you. The other part that that comes as part of your general fee to the health department is surveillance. So we do disease surveillance, we do trapping. We send those mosquitoes down to the Ohio Department of Health lab. We do heavy surveillance in West Nile. So all that's not part of the extra contract that we get. What you're paying for in that area is just spraying, the truck that comes out, the person that's driving it, the chemical, which is all this is very expensive now. So
Yep.
we do larviciding too that we do not charge the city for in the supplemental contract. So any breeding sites you might have around, we will treat those as well.
Okay. The other one, it just I happened to see it this weekend that we're in a unique spot as a city without having a health department, so we appreciate partnering with you at the county level. New Philadelphia was advertising that there was a tire drop off because they talked about things that tires, how it can get into the soil, how water can be held there, breeding ground for mosquitoes, things like that. Is that something that you guys do, or that we could potentially partner with you over by the Constitution Center, to have a drop off for those unused old tires?
Well, tire dumps are what we get involved in. So you should have a special contract with the Joint Solid Waste District, correct? If not, I can help you guys get that set up where they'll actually take the tires. We can the nearest drop off is Canton Cities. But we can do something if you're interested in that. We can work with the Joint Solid Waste District to plan something special for Louisville.
I just thought it was a unique event, and I saw they were advertised. It was and just because you were here, I decided to ask. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, drop off is one thing. Working on a nuisance where you have a dump of tires,
Sure.
we work on those, absolutely.
Any other questions?
No, it was very informative.
Thank you.
All right.
And he's right,
Thank you for
we
coming.
do work, very well with the health department, and it's not terribly often that we have to call them, but when we do, they're always very responsive and helping us out with whatever the need is.
Very good. Okay. Next up is Kathy Pugh. If that's where the microphone's at, if you want to be recorded, if not, you're welcome to stand where you're at.
My name's Kathy Pugh, and on February 23rd, my house burnt down to the ground and I lost everything. I called 911 at 4:58. According to the fire department notice, they were toned out at 5:01. I know that I called my son at 5:05 from the police officer's car once I got there, and there was already flames. Now, I will say that when I got, and it does say in the report that I got myself out safely, because I did, and I was sitting on the porch when I called 911. What the report doesn't say is that there was a police officer directly across the street in the senior housing, sitting there. And as I'm on the porch, talking with 911, I'm saying, can I get off now? And they said, well, somebody has to be there. I said, well, there's a police officer right there. Okay. So I hung up, and I still sat on the porch. And then the police officer yells at me, is anybody else in the house? I said, no, just my cat. Can't find him. And he sat there. And then he got out of his car with his flashlight, walked across the street, down the side of my house, and then back to his car and left me on the porch. I got out with no shoes, so I didn't go across the street. And then he hollered at me from across the street, do you want to come sit in my car? Now, I've been to council numerous times saying how I resent the fact that you don't credit me for the 2.5% that I pay in Canton. And I pay an extra 60%. And I've not been able to get public records and told to my face I'm not going to get the public records. And I've been told by many members on this council I should be grateful for everything that happens. First, left on the porch. And I hollered back and I said, I don't have any shoes. Well, I can drive over to your driveway. So he drove to the end of the drive, and I went out in my stocking feet and got in the car and sat in the back. No offer of a blanket, no offer to cover my feet, nothing. And at this point, my phone wasn't working, so I asked to borrow his to call my son. 5:09, I called my friend, and the flames were shooting out of the roof. But before I called my friend, I heard over the police radio, flames are knocked down. That's what I heard. And then they came back right up. And I didn't know why. Because all these years, I mean, you guys know, I've been holding you guys, your feet to the fire. There's plenty of public records to show that. I live across from 2 fire hydrants. One on the entrance to a school and one on the entrance to a 3-story senior housing. And they couldn't get water because there's not enough pressure. At no point did anybody in this city tell me my life and my property were at risk because there wasn't enough pressure. And I wasn't going to say anything until I read you guys are approving a $4.3 million new city hall. What I'm wearing today is not even mine. I got out with nothing but my cat. And you're going to tell me your hydrant's at the end of the line. That's not acceptable. So I went ahead and did a little bit of research. I did do a public records, and I understand it was just today, but I hope you guys understand I've had a little bit. I lost my cars. I lost my studio. I lost my computers, all of my records, all of my clothing, all my pictures, everything. And there's documentation that the fire hydrants have to have certain pressure. And it's been legalized since 1997. So I'm going to read here what it says, optimal firefighting pressure. And I want you to know I'm not blaming the fire department. This is a city issue. For optimal firefighting conditions, fire hydrants are generally expected to deliver water at pressures between 50 and 100 psi. This range allows for efficient water flow and provides sufficient pressure for use in larger firefighting operations. Hydrants supplied with this pressure ensure that the fire hoses attached to them will deliver water at a rate sufficient to extinguish large or high-rise building fires. Residual pressure. Residual pressure is the pressure that remains in the system when water is flowing from the hydrants. It is typically lower than the static pressure due to the withdrawal of water from the system. Residual pressure is a critical measurement because it shows the amount of pressure available during an actual firefighting operation. If the residual pressure drops too low, the water flow may not be sufficient to effectively fight the fire. And from what I understand, that's what happened. And 8 fire stations had to address a single dwelling home. Consequences of low fire hydrant pressure. Low water pressure in a fire hydrant can have serious consequences. How I know. During firefighting operations, if the pressure is too low, firefighters may not be able to deliver water at the flow rate necessary to extinguish the fire, which is what happened. This can lead to the following risks. Slow fire suppression. Without sufficient pressure, the water will not reach the fire with sufficient force, slowing down the extinguishing process. Increased property damage. In this case, 100%. A delay in extinguishing a fire can result in significant damage to the building and surrounding structures. Not to mention the risk to firefighter safety. Low water pressure can threaten their safety, making it difficult to control the fire and potentially endangering their lives. What I don't understand is there's a whole section, and I highlighted it. This didn't have to happen. You can put in booster pumps. In areas where natural water pressure is insufficient, booster pumps can be installed to increase the pressure in the system. Booster pumps are mechanical devices that force water through the pipes at a higher pressure, ensuring that fire hydrants can deliver water at the rate required to fight fires. So a few years back, you changed the charter so that the 0.5% that went towards water and sewer, went into your general fund. And we're getting amphitheaters and dog parks and umbrella alleys, and my house burnt down because we didn't put in booster pumps. And it's common knowledge, because quite a few people came on Facebook and said this pressure has been this low in that area for quite a while. Now, not a thing you can do for me now. My house is gone. All my stuff is gone. You can't bring it back. I'm a 63-year-old woman, got out with her, thank you, my cat. But what about those seniors in a 3-story building? 4:58 to 5:05, my house was fully engulfed. They wouldn't get out. The school, they wouldn't get out. When I talked to Mr. Trowski the next day, I asked that question. And they said, well, there's pumps on Michigan, or there's hydrants on Michigan. Nobody tapped into those for mine. We waited for Hartville and Plain and Osnaburg to bring water to my house. I did ask for the records. I'd love to know what the pressure readings are. Fire hydrants are an essential part of an urban infrastructure, providing immediate access to water in the event of a fire. Mine aren't immediate. I was waiting. They supply water to firefighters for municipal water supply, ensuring rapid and effective firefighting. When they can't get the water, it's not rapid and it's not effective. The pressure provided is a key factor determining the effectiveness of a fire hydrant. The water pressure in a fire hydrant must be sufficient to deliver water at a rate that enables effective firefighting, especially in high-rise buildings or in situations where the fire covers a large area. The last thing that I'm going to say is, and you might not have even known, but it said there were no injuries. Wrong. I did have smoke inhalation. I did go to the hospital. I was treated and had to go back to stat care the very next week. So I didn't get out scot-free. My cat didn't get out scot-free. Booster pumps. You're going to spend $4.3 million on a new fire or new city hall? And I asked how many residents work in city hall, because I know how many residents are on my street. And I'm sure it's more than are working in city hall. And what are you gonna tell the parent of a child, or a child of a parent, who doesn't get out of a fire because there's not enough pressure in the fire hydrants? Oh, and how many dead end streets, end of the line fire hydrants do we have? And when are you gonna tell those people, when you're looking at the fire hydrant right outside your door, that you're not safe?
So I think, I don't think that's Rachel's understanding of the officer's conduct, but that's easy enough to go back and review. The response times, those of course would be recorded and we can discover those, but I think Chief Bordner can certainly comment on the concerns about the water.
Sure.
Okay, the hydrants that is directly across the street from her house, there, as you come up North Nickel Plate, we test hydrants every 4 years. We're on a rotation basis based on ISO ratings that we have to test our hydrants. We've got all our hydrants tested, got a base on the testing, and then every 4 years that hydrant gets tested again, 4 to 5 years, because there's 5 different districts. So those hydrants have been tested, and I'll start with the one that's closest to the entrance to the elementary school. That one right now is at 856 gallons per minute. The next 3, which is the one we were hooked on to, is at the bus loop. The next one that's in front of 701 North Nickel Plate, and the one that's in front of Midlake Products, those are at 581 gallon per minute. That's at the standard flow rate. Now we get down to where we were talking about residuals. That's at 54 PSI. We go down to 20 PSI, we're down to 2,181 gallons a minute. And at 10 PSI, we're at 2,510 gallons a minute. We try not to get down to that 20% because that is our safety limit. We gotta stay at that 20%. Just in case something does happen, we have extra water if needed. Our trucks have water on them. Our first arriving engine has 1,000 gallons in it. That is to get the line off the truck, get the line charged, hit the fire. At the same time, we're trying to go ahead and establish a positive water pressure, which means hook up to a hydrant to get our water supply coming. We test on that, all the operators of the fire department, and 99% of the time, we have positive water supply and still have 500 gallons left in that engine, just for safety of our firefighters. We were operating that day 3 hand lines, which is approximately about 200 gallons a minute coming off of. And this was a wind-driven fire on the exterior. We had 20-mile-an-hour winds that night. She is correct. The outside of her house on the far corner was fully engulfed clear to the roof by the time we got an engine there. That wind had driven that fire into the garage, which is behind the house. That was totally engulfed in flames. We ended up trying to put what we call blitz monitor on that. That blitz monitor is running 500 gallons a minute. So now we're exceeding our limit where we have to bring in tankers to help subsidize what we have available in our hydrants. Because that is correct. That is a dead end hydrant. No matter how hard we push it, we're not going to get any more water out of there. We are getting the max we can get. So we bring in tankers to subsidize for that so we could use that. We ended up shutting that blitz monitor down because that garage was totally gone. There's nothing savable in there to where we were still able to use our hand lines to get inside, try to get upstairs to where the fire was actually going in the attic. Our assistant chief and firefighters were the first ones in the building. We have thermal imaging cameras that show us everything, including the temperatures. The temperatures going up the stairwell were 700 degrees. You cannot go in a building with our gear at 700 degrees. You will not sustain that type of temperature. They did everything they could with that to save that. We were able to keep it combined to the rear of the house. Unfortunately, with a balloon frame construction on a house like that, it travels up. If you know how balloon frame works, it's the same stud space from the bottom of the first floor clear to the attic space. That fire gets in there and it travels to the top and goes straight across your roof. That's exactly what happened. As for us being out of water or a water issue, as far as the fire was going by the time we arrived there, I myself don't believe that would have been an issue if we even had more water. It still was such a deep-seated fire already into the attic space. So, but those hydrants are on a dead-end loop, and 581 is the max we're getting out of those 3 hydrants. Now, as far as the school, sorry not to interrupt, as far as the schools, they have hydrants around the schools, and those are at 1,000 gallons a minute.
Are these booster pumps something that we've looked at? Like, I don't know anything about what that would do.
I don't think a booster pumps, that's a 6-inch supply line that runs down to those hydrants after the school bus end, or after the school entrance. It drops down to a 6-inch supply line to those last 3 hydrants. I don't believe a booster pump's gonna help because we're still dealing with just a 6-inch line. We would have to somehow connect that and make that not a dead-end line and bring another line in from someplace to make this a loop to be able to help get us some more water, or ultimately increase that 6-inch line to something else.
The chief and I were talking about this before, and that's why the water tankers are part of the pre-planning. They know that potentially those, at the end of the lines, you don't have the amount of water, although it meets the standard, you don't have the amount of water that you might closer to the center of the system. So the tanker trucks that they utilize are part of the pre-planning to address that issue.
And yes, there was a lot of departments there. What we call our first alarm box is 5 departments. As soon as we get toned out, our dispatch is toning out the other departments, Osnaburg, Nimishellen, Canton Township, and Washington Township for an air truck. So there's 5 departments, including us, that are being toned out simultaneously to get us all going there to get to the fire.
I think those same 5 departments were at my brother's house for his fire.
Yes, I was on that fire.
I remember that.
I was first one in on that fire, yes.
So the school sounds like it's got the pressure. What about, as Kathy was stating, the home?
The 3-story house,
Yeah,
701
yeah,
North
yeah, yeah.
Pickleball, it's at 581. And our pre-plan is, we're gonna have tankers being toned out immediately, and same thing with Midlake.
Same with Midlake.
If they get a substantial fire there, we are gonna be using tanker water to subsidize our hydrant water. Yes.
Does that equate to like 1,000 gallon per minute fire hydrant if you?
It could, it all depends. And it depends where our fill site's gonna be. I had our fill site on the other side of Main Street because I didn't want to rob the water coming off of Main Street heading north, which was filling our trucks from the hydrants. So I wanted to get onto another arm or leg of a main to fill our tankers, so we didn't rob the water from what we were using.
Yeah.
First of all, Kathy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your loss. Couple questions. First, with the officer, would we be able to just have that body cam footage?
100%. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll take a look at
If that body cam footage could just be shared and emailed, I'd appreciate that, just seeing that. First person, Chief, so in your estimation, what you're saying is the water at the end of the line an issue in terms of what your department needs to fight, whether it's a single house fire or if there was ever a fire at the senior apartment complex or the school?
Yes, it will be something to that size, yes. And I mean, I'm again, sorry for Kathy's house, but if we would have had a larger supply of hydrants there, then we wouldn't need the water shuttle program that we have. But
Okay.
like I said, right now, that's a 6-inch supply line that starts at the school entrance. I believe that's an 8-inch that goes to the school entrance, and then from there on up, it's like 10-inch to Main Street. But from that school entrance down to the last, last 3 hydrants, it's all 6-inch now.
Chief or Andy, are you aware of any municipalities that have gone back and looked at looping, like as you're going through and like continue with your maintenance, like looping different lines together?
Well, anytime we look at water projects that, just like with what we're looking at in the north of the city near 62, looping is always the preferred way to get the water out. I don't know that this particular area has been looked at for that purpose. And again, it's with the pre-planning with the tankers, it's not as if, oh, it's a 6-inch line, we just aren't gonna have water. There is water, it just may not be coming from entirely the fire hydrant. But to your question, if you talk to Daryl or the water department superintendent, naturally looping every system would be preferred.
Okay, and would looping be preferred? I know we had a lot of information there compared with booster pumps or anything like that.
Looping, in my opinion, looping's a much better option because, like I said, you could have 10 booster pumps there, but you're still going through a 6-inch line no matter what. So it doesn't make a difference how much pressure you got. Water's only going to flow as much as you can put in a 6-inch line.
Okay.
So to me, if you know, like Marion Street where the tower is, if we could loop that down Yoder Street, right to North Nickel Plate and loop that direction, now we've got another more water potential source coming in.
I know this isn't something we can wave a magic wand and fix overnight. I know it costs money to look at it. I think as we come up and, you know, I know we have goal setting and reports and different things council looks at, you know, for budget-wise for next year. But I would be interested to know, like, are there third-party companies that could come in, evaluate kind of where our lines currently with our reports and plug things in, and are there ways where we can say, okay, like these are probably our most critical areas where, you know, a loop would make sense, or this is cost-efficient ways we would be able to incorporate, you know, improving some of that where it's possible. I'd at least be interested in knowing how much that would cost.
We'll talk to Daryl and get some answers.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I just say one more thing? Like I said, I didn't come here for me. He just told you, that 3-story building is at risk. It's at risk.
And I just sat at dinner with a bunch of them yesterday that watched her house burn, that are very fearful. And there's people with walkers, wheelchairs, handicapped. And I asked them, has our fire department or anybody ever came in and kind of gone through a game plan on how you would evacuate? Because they only have a part-time manager there. They've never had a fire drill. They've never been instructed what to do if they see smoke coming out of a door. I personally, as an elder care advocate, would think it would be a good idea to maybe reach out to that community because a lot of them are very upset watching what she walked and watched that day. I mean, I had people blowing up my phone at 5 o'clock in the morning saying, you know, and fearful that they was gonna come to them. But I think as a good community advocate, we should meet with those people, you know, the fire chief and that, sit them down, talk to them, come up with some kind of thing. They've got one elevator in that building, no service elevator, no emergency way out. And like the one fella yesterday, he's on a walker, he can barely move. And he's like, how am I ever gonna get out of this building because the elevator's gonna be shut down immediately anyway. And so there's no game plan to evacuate 55 people over there. That's just something I think the city should be responsible and step up and make the first initiative to let our seniors that are paying taxes know we do care about their lives. Their lives matter too.
Sure. Chief, would you be willing to reach out to them, set something? I can't imagine, you know, as being in charge of a building, not running drills or having plans or having things pre-cleared with construction, but just to make sure that's in line. If nothing, if things are in place, it's informative, and if there's not in place, you know, making sure that they are.
Now, to say that too, that building does have a sprinkler system in it, so it has its own pump.
Okay.
So that building is sprinkled because it's so large.
Okay.
And then also the stairwell exits, one at each corner of that building, which highly unlikely, and those are fire escapes, so they're fire rated stairwells. That's where people would migrate to if something would happen to give them some more safety. But I would be more than happy to sit down with anybody over there, go over stuff with them, explain things, and do what we need to do.
I'd be curious, whenever that happens, if you can report back to us, that'd be great. Okay. All right, that brings us to new business. Entertain a motion to request or not request a hearing for the liquor permit transfer to DNZ One Corp. DBA West Main Drive-Through, located at 1616 West Main Street, Louisville, Ohio 44641, from West Main Drive-Through LLC, DBA West Main Drive-Through, located at 1616 West Main, Louisville, Ohio.
Well, I mean, from what I've read and from what you provided for us, Andy and Rachel, I would make the motion that we not request a hearing for the liquor permit transfer.
Second?
Any discussion? All right, let's go ahead and vote.
Gadone,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
McAllister Atkins,
Yes.
Street,
Yes.
Aljansic.
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to Chamber Fest and the fireworks.
So I think Matt will tell you that in terms of the requested $5,000, which is what we gave last year, it doesn't exist in the budget, but at your direction, it could be appropriated and essentially come off the top of the general fund, and then we can provide it to the chamber for that purpose.
Okay. There any objections?
No pushback from me, Mayor.
Okay. We appreciate what the chamber does and looking forward to Chamber Fest this summer. So I'll go ahead and make that motion that we donate $5,000 towards sponsoring fireworks for Chamber Fest 2026.
I'll second that, Mayor.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote.
Gadone,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
McAllister Atkins,
Yes.
Street,
Yes.
Aljansic.
Yes.
That brings us to a discussion regarding potential legislation to address rowdy, criminally disorderly homes.
Probably raises some questions.
Yeah.
So I'll let Chief Carcello give you the specifics, but what it really amounts to is periodically, and not very often, but periodically, we will experience a residence that becomes a source of illegal activity, partying, illegal substance abuse, alcohol use, potentially gambling, weapons involvement, noise, general nuisance. And what we'd like to do is to bring an ordinance before you that essentially would amount to another tool that the police department would have to hold accountable not just maybe the people at the residence, but the people who own the residence, allow that type of activity to happen. What prompted this time was a recent, probably I would argue, the worst that we've seen.
Yes. Do you remember the issue they had in Bath where somebody rented out their home and then they threw a large party and people were actually shot at that party? Do you remember hearing that?
Yes.
Okay. So it was one of the nice warm days that we had in March. There was a party that was an open invitation on social media to a house off of West Main. And our officers responded because people started to call it in. There were about 150 people there, 50 people in an enclosed backyard, and none of them were from Louisville. They had come from Cleveland and Youngstown for basically an open house party. There was a male at the door that was deemed a bouncer, and he was checking for weapons as people entered into the home. So that is something that we would like some assistance with. It may never happen again, but just with the whole rules now with the Airbnbs and people renting out their homes, this is definitely something that's concerning, and we would like to be able to keep our city safe from this happening.
We see it as a proactive step to address what seems to be, not so much here, but in general, seems to be a more common occurrence.
Would Tanya check it out like she did with the animal feeding stuff, check different
So-
ordinances from other
Yeah,
cities?
we actually have an ordinance in waiting, and it was one that she wrote based on other communities and our needs, yes.
Oh, good,
So again, with your consent, we'll bring that before you at the next council meeting and get moving on that process.
Yeah, I'm for it.
Need a motion on that, Andy?
Sure, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we would entertain a new ordinance that would address the rowdy, crazy house parties.
Thank you,
Second. Sorry, Tricia.
No, you're good.
thank you.
We'll go ahead and vote.
Godone,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
McAllister Atkins,
Yes.
Street,
Yes.
Aljansic.
Yes.
Okay. City managers report.
Well, as you know from my earlier communication, we did advance to the next phase of the community project funding through Congressman Rowley's office. There were 200 applications, and they were able to send forward 20 of them, and we were one of those that got sent forward. And if you'll remember, this is for the ultraviolet light sanitizing system for the sewer department, or for the water treatment plant, that would both reduce future cost and provide a more environmentally safe way to discharge into the Michelle Creek. So it'll be a while before we hear about that, but we were happy that we were in the top 10%, and were able to move forward to the Congressional Appropriations Committee. I also, just as a reminder, Umbrella Alley will be the site of Visit Canton's kickoff for the summer Stark County Tourism and the 250 celebration. So I sent you the link. It's a by invitation only type event, but I sent you the link if you would like to RSVP and attend. And then in addition to that, Arts and Stark included Umbrella Alley in a list of must-dos in Stark County that will be used by the state for advertising outside of Ohio to encourage tourism and visitors to a number of sites in Stark County, one of which is Umbrella. So of course, that's a very positive thing.
Great.
And I believe that is all that I have.
Okay. Any questions for Andy? Okay. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. I handed out earlier to you, council members, and the mayor, about a firefighter health and safety stair climb event. Louisville Fire Department and Nimishon Fire Department are gonna put on. Nimishon approached us. They have a couple of their members that actually do these, and they gone down to Columbus and done like a 1,000-step stair climb down at the Ohio State Stadium with the Red Cross to raise some money. So being that, they thought it would be a good idea if they got with us, and we thought it was a great idea to do this at the Louisville football stadium. So what we're going to be doing is getting together and do stair climb that's open to the public. We want them to come do the stair climbs. It's free of charge to come in. We're going to have all kinds of things going on there. There'll be some local vendors. They're going to be the vendors that have our fire gear, have our air packs, tools, equipment, fire trucks, things like that, so they can see what we wear, what we do, how much it weighs. They're going to be amazed at how much poundage it adds to you by putting all your gear on. We'll also have like a little mini combat challenge, which is an exercise program that is put on, and it's actually a national event where there's a combat challenge done by certain firefighters to see how fast they can go through this course. And then we'll have games and some more stuff. But this is all going to be goes to a nonprofit organization to help cancer, mental health crisis, and heart disease for firefighters, because those are the #1 killers of firefighters nowadays, with everything, the cancer, depending on house fires, what everything's made of a house. You know, it's not like back in 1960s where you had real wood. You have plastic wood now, so all the carcinogens. So just bring that to your attention. Welcome anybody who wants to come out to that. This will be open to the public. We're going to advertise it. We have our board up companies that we use. I've met with them. They're going to be donating some money along with some drinks and refreshments, things like that. And then we're getting with some of the big companies in Louisville and the Michelle Township to get them on board as a sponsor, put their names on the back of shirts, purchase shirts to give out to the people as they go through this event. So just letting you know that's coming up on June 14th. So if you have any further questions or down the road, let me know. You'll be seeing this coming out, be out on social media sites, things like that. So we meet regularly every couple of weeks. They have a group of people, we have a group of people, and we go back and forth to each station to meet about this and discuss what we're going to be doing.
Cool.
Yeah, that's
very
really
nice.
neat.
Great.
That's really neat.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Ron. Yeah, that's exciting.
It's a stair climb.
It's a stair.
That's for the public?
Public.
And do they put your gear on
They actually, I believe there's going to be some gear there that they can wear if they wish
to
to.
try? All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Like that
So-
challenge.
No.
I know, like I think Ohio State, they're doing like 800 to 1,000 steps.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So it takes about 8 rounds here at the stadium to do that.
Like going up one
Go
part,
up
down,
one side,
up.
down the other, yeah. Yeah.
You know, plenty of medics there, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, other departments there, and plenty of oxygen. So you can come on out.
Very good.
I'll need it.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right,
That's
thanks,
good.
Thank you. Dave?
Mayor, Council, a brief update. Community Entertainment District documentation was sent to the state. I guess it's approved, so our district is active. So those licenses are available if you want to go through the liquor department to get one. The other thing I wanted to bring up real quickly was the Omni Fiber project is finishing up. They pretty much are done with the installation of into the ground and on the poles. They should be finishing up here within the next week or two. I know there's a lot of issues. We've been dealing with them on a regular basis with yards, a lot of issues with the yards being restored. Some of the vaults need to be adjusted, a lot of different things. Hopefully, we're going to be talking with them. Restoration should be starting here within a week or two. Obviously, the weather with regards to planting grass and straw and that sort of thing. So hopefully, within the next month or so, we'll see some movement on that and have a lot of the areas that people are getting out right now in their yards, and and a lot of complaints are coming in, and they realize that. But a lot of the stuff that was done over the winter, they really couldn't do much to fix it. So hopefully, we'll be able to proceed and get a lot of that done here in the next month or two.
The people that are having problems with their yards and stuff, do they contact the city, or how do they get in touch with Omni? Because they said a couple of times they've had them come to their house like 2 or 3 times, and it's still not, then with the weather, it's still not done right.
Well, I probably at this point they can always contact the city. quite honestly.
Contact the city and
And they
then-
can try to reach Omni to, I would give them the opportunity to try to do the restoration properly. So if people come through and it's done and it's not done correctly, then call us if you don't feel comfortable the way the restoration was done. We'll go out and take a look at it, and then we'll put it on a list, because we're basically gonna go after all this is done and go through the whole city and see how everything was done. And, it's almost like when you go into a house and you a punch list, and we'll have sort of a punch list thing. We'll go through and make sure everything's done. Now that also, we do have a bond that's good for a year after they're done. So if there are issues that aren't being done correctly, we feel uncomfortable, we'll go and have, do it ourselves, and we can use the bond money to pay for those restorations.
Okay, so thank you. That's very
Would-
helpful.
Would we be able to post something in a way on social media that just directing people with the correct level? Because I think there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of, do I call the city manager? Do I call Omni? Like, what's the correct step if there was an issue in my yard? Just because I know there were so many issues with the subcontractor
Yes.
that came through. I feel like as people get out in the next week or two, we're only going to find more.
Well, and we will find a lot, because they haven't done the restoration yet. I think once they, and as a matter of fact, we were talking to Omni today about this very issue. Once they tell us that the restoration was done, I think at that point, because if we do it now, we get thousands of calls, and rightfully so, because the restoration's not been done. But once we're told that it's complete, I think it would be appropriate to do it then, and then anybody who wasn't done to the standard that it should have been, then we can work with them to get that corrected. But if
We've been getting called in.
Yeah, we
get
routinely get calls.
Yeah, everybody,
We get them too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe once that
restoration,
Yeah.
once they say they're done, I think it'd at least be worth
Yes.
sharing
That's
so
what
that we can say, like, here's what to do if you still have an
No,
issue.
that's what we intended to do, because I don't think any of us believe that everything will be 100% correct the first time. So we're going to give them the opportunity to do it and make it correct, and then if after that there's issues, we would invite people, and that kind of was what the game plan was.
We have a call tomorrow with the participants to kind of lay out a plan. And I know it's not going to be bulletproof as far as you know, but try to get an idea of what the plan is, how they're going to do it, what the timeframes are, so that we can, at least have an idea when they come forward and start doing the project. That if there's a complaint, we kind of have an idea what it's going. That was the plan, to actually put something on Facebook, on a webpage, at a certain point when most of the restoration is done. If you have issues, please contact us. We'll try to address those issues.
But yeah, we know there's a lot of issues right now, to include many of our own yards, so.
Question about Omnifiber themselves. Are they exclusive to the lines that they put in, or do they
My
lease?
understanding, that's my understanding.
Okay. So if another vendor wants to come in, Spectrum, and deliver fiber to the home, this could happen again?
Well, Spectrum's already here.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody else wanted to come in, I don't think we could stop them. It's a public utility.
Yeah.
We didn't really have a choice. A lot of people said, why are we letting them come in? Well, we didn't really have a choice.
Sure.
All we could do is try to work with them and try to make this process as easy as possible. But I can't say for sure if they would not allow that, some type of agreement. But as far as I know, it's just Omnifiber.
Okay.
I mean, on a positive note, they do provide a good service.
I would agree.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with their fiber, I can tell you that. I've got upload and download numbers like I've never had before.
Does the city use them? Are we going to use them?
We have 3 sites with internet, three main sites.
Mhm.
This building, which is under contract until next October, and then City Hall and the police department, which also services the Constitution Center. So once we resolve some of these issues, we will
Yeah.
likely move to that, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, Chief?
I don't have anything for you, Mayor, except the disorderly house you already took care of, so thank you.
Okay. Matt?
I don't have anything tonight, Mayor. I'll have a fair amount more for you next time with the finance report for the month.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for everybody for coming tonight. Hopefully the weather is a little bit nicer by the time we meet again later in April. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Let's go ahead and vote.
Godone.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
McAllister Atkins.
Yes.
Street.
Yes.
Aljansic.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for coming. Meeting adjourned.
Nice job, everybody.